Japan has a vast and immense history that has been displayed through time immemorial. Suzuka nestles within the Mie prefecture in the south of Japan. Around an hour away from the circuit is a well-known shrine called Myoto-iwa. Known as the married couple rocks, they are tied together by a rope that weighs over a ton and consists of shimanawa, more commonly known in the West as rice straw. The rocks represent a unity of marriage between man and woman. Well, tonight there's another unity of marriage between man and machine as we go to round 6 of the NXTGEN Renault Megane Trophy, sponsored by Power Max Racing. I'm your commentator, Jack TM53 Synopsis, and we are going to have a fun race for tonight. That much is for certain. In addition to that, we also have a top 4 reverse grid. Now, normally that would indicate that we'd have 4 drivers, but tonight it's a little bit different. We've got 5. I'll explain why that is shortly, but what I want to say is part of that reverse grid for tonight, we have a driver joining us in the commentary box, and it's the man you can see on screen at the moment, DY07, otherwise known as Dave. Dave, good to have you in.
Hello. It's good to be part of this junior qualifying session.
Good evening to Greener Army in the comments chat. It's unfortunate that Greener Army couldn't make it in tonight. That's really, he's apparently updating something on Gran Turismo Sport. He would have been the 15th driver in for tonight. But Dave, we can just see you chucking it through the other half of Dunlop at the moment. How are you feeling ahead of tonight?
Going off last season when I had the reverse grid round here, slightly less confidence than normal, as it's not the easiest circuit to pass on, and one mistake, really tie on the grass, and you can easily be off the track and back to where I'm starting, basically at the back.
Yeah, exactly. It is a very sort of brutal circuit in that sense. Obviously, you can see the grass in the sort of surrounding areas, the gravel trap as well. I'm just putting a comment in the chat box there just to let everyone know that there's a qualifying start just in 1 minute. Just put minutes for the time being. As Dave, I'm just watching you sort of scrabbling for position really with the 55.8. Obviously it's practice at the moment before we start quali. I'm going to run through the championship standings for everyone before we go in. So top of the tree and start from the back tonight is the White House 7. That's Dave. He's on 101 points. He's got a 13-point gap to his main championship rival at the moment. Where is Timmy? He's in the pits currently. Timmy is on 88 at the moment, 13 points back. Then comes the complications of the top 4 reverse grid. Slow Seamus, 1805 and Danzo are all tied on 55 points. So they will be setting specific qualifying laps that adhere to a certain time so they start on the grid in the right places. 2 points back from that is Snav, who's on 53. So there's a very big fight for third place in the championship at the moment. Snav got a big opportunity not being part of that top 4 reverse. Suburtis is in 7th. He's on 42 points. He's here tonight. He got a podium last season, did Suburtis, at this circuit. He'll be aiming for that again, and he has said so in the pre-event chat. Jay Coleman is back tonight. He's on 41 points. Shadowstalker still in the top 10, still performing brilliantly. He's on 40. Mark Parker, who we're with at the moment in that Sales Eye interactive car, he's on 38 points in 10th in the championship. In 11th place, we've got Chris Cross 212, who's now moved into Lobby 1 permanently, so his scores will be reflected in that lobby. If you go and watch CJW Racing, he will explain further on his broadcast. DMK80 is back in for tonight, which is really good to see. Glad to have him in. The 55.8 is on 12 points. DMK, I must have mentioned, is on 19. Big Z, who had his debut last week, or rather 2 weeks ago at Kyoto, he is on 8 points and not joining us tonight, unfortunately. A few problems on his end. TMLS 313, who also made his debut, is on 4 points. That is the schedule as it stands. Now, a couple of comments just popping up in the corner there on the left hand side of your screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start qualifying. So let's go into race settings. Here we go. so that'll kick things off. Dave, in terms of your strategy for tonight, I'm not going to ask you to reveal what your strategy is going to be, but is there anyone in particular who stands out to you who might be being a threat in terms of your progress through the field? Obviously you start in 14th, so it's going to be quite tricky for you to make it through the field.
Realistically, you've got, well, now 5 really quick drivers at the back, and that's just going to make it a lot harder, because anybody who's sort of 4th, 5th from the back could be just happy to be ahead of their championship rivals and close the gap up, so they could defend straight from the start. But everybody, as I've just shown in practice, I was behind the 55.8, and it was, even though I had the pace on him, I couldn't get past, because you just don't get that run and you haven't got those braking areas to get through.
No, exactly. I mean, really, it's going to come down to sort of opportunistic driving at the end of the day. You know, there are, I'd say, one corner particular on track that is an overtaking opportunity, and that's providing you get a run out of the final corner, and that's turn 1. We'll just cut forward because Danzo is ahead on the circuit. He's just going to ride on board on floor cam. This is the best opportunity any driver is going to have for a sort of conventional overtake, so to speak. But I'm sure, Dave, you're going to be planning for some unorthodox moves to try and make it through the field.
Yeah, I mean, starting from the back, you've just got to make sure you take advantage of any instance ahead. These type of races, especially where the slower the drivers who haven't done so well in the championship early on are starting at the front. They will be looking for the best result possible. Now, people who are 3rd, 4th will be looking to close on the championship leader by trying to get a win, and that can cause them to take maybe the rash decision of making a move, and that's the type of move we've got to take advantage of to get through.
Exactly, you know, for those drivers that are in that top 5 reverse, including Dave as well. We're just watching Danzo going quite slowly. I think he's just trying to get out of everyone's way. Burtis has just crossed the line, he's done a 50 flat, as has Snav. DMK80 currently in the first knock-ins of lap times. He's at the front, he's done a 49.9, so really positive for DMK. Best result of the season so far for DMK is 6th place 2 weeks ago at Kyoto. Best result he ever had, so that's fantastic for him. I must mention, before we go onto a qualifying lap with Dave, just want to make a note of another driver who's entered tonight, and that's Darkside, who's just gone provisional pole for the time being. You can see his car livery there. It's Mark Sykes Designs, the 666 car, as he comes towards turn 1. A debutant tonight, and also brother of NXTGEN Bigsy, so there's going to be some huge rivalry between those two. If they're out on circuit, I'm certain they won't be given any quarters during this absolutely frenetic 20-minute race we're going to have coming up. DMK's just moved up to 2nd as we have a quick scan through to see where the drivers are on circuit. Dave, I'm sure you're in the pits at the moment, and in fact I've just cut over to you. If you want to give us a qualifying, well, sort of qualifying style lap as you come out of the pits.
Yeah, I mean, as we head out the pits here, you'll be coming full chat into turn 1. You normally, it depends on your style, but we understand these cars you've really got to get the nose turned in, especially if you're behind somebody else. So gear choices for each of these corners, as you see me going through the S's, is different in qualifying to when you're behind somebody in a race. The understeer will mean that every now and again you might have to drop down into a third or even 2nd gear, especially when you're near the back. So as I come out of the final corner, I just nip the end of the pit lane in 3rd gear, wait patiently on the throttle, as you don't want to hit that grass on the left hand side, and move through the gears onto the back main straight. You can see I just nip into 6th gear and then brake slightly early, knock it down a couple of gears, and then into 3rd for the back end steps out in the 2nd part of the corner. Run a bit wide, you don't want to go that far wide, and then hit that apex a lot better than that, and keep it through 4th gear all the way through. Use that little bit of green on the left hand side, keeping it in 4th just to keep the revs low and the understeer down, and then clip that curve there, down to 3rd, into the final corner, which, as I said before, is all about patience on the throttle. You don't want to run out wide, because if that happens and it drags you into a wall, as I'm not going to complete the lap because I have the 2-minute penalty to apply to the end of the lap.
Exactly, and thanks for that, Dave, really appreciated. We could just see a couple of drivers coming through. It's actually a perfect vantage point almost for us as DMK just goes 4th fastest. This is fantastic showing from DMK at the moment. Darksight's up in 3rd, the debutant for tonight. Bertus, again, like last season, he finished 2nd, his best ever result in the Megane Trophy, the number 23 Fuchs driver there. He's in 2nd place at the moment with 4 minutes 17 on the clock. Snav's in the pits, and I said earlier that this will be critical for his championship challenge in terms of getting into 3rd place, and the Power Products man is going to be pretty happy. He's got a 1/10 over Bertus, who's then got 3/10. So on to Darkseid. So at the moment, Snav and Subertus are almost in the league of their own. They've managed to find 3/10. Incidentally, Dave, whilst we were following you on that lap, you actually set the fastest first sector whilst we were going through. So you've certainly got the pace for tonight.
That's not bad considering I missed a few apexes. But as you just said, with Snav, Subertus, they are just on the back of a championship challenge, on the back of a top 5 who are reversed. So these types of races are where they want to be at the front of the grid, get away, don't be caught by the top 5, and score points over their rivals.
Exactly. I've just noticed the comments there in the corner from Slow Shaver say that 1805 has got the qualifying wrong, which incidentally he has. So I've just put a quick message on the screen just to say drop back at start, because he's in the top 5 qualifying, I believe. I've got that correctly, which I hope I have.
Is he 5th?
I believe he is.
If that's where the confusion has come from, thinking it's top 4 reverse. But just looking at the times, actually, they're pretty close between the field. Before you get to the 5 reversed, only 1.5 seconds goes the whole field. 2/10, no, 1.12 temps cover the top 3. So with the rhythm section of this circuit so important, you can find that temp easily. Sorry to interrupt you, Dave. I've just watched Subertus go flying through the S's just on the exit of that at turn 5. He went absolutely sailing off into the sand. But you are absolutely right, Dave. At the end of the day, it's going to be critical getting that rhythm correct, making sure that you're not making mistakes, and Bertus will want to avoid that if he wants to emulate that 2nd place as he goes through the cones, as he goes through that final corner. I noticed already that the cones have been spread all over the circuit. Oh, the marshals will certainly have a tough job finding some of them cones by the end of the race.
But we are in the last knock-ins of this session now. At the end of this session, we've got 1 minute 38 to go on the time remaining. That'll be enough time potentially for 2 clear laps, depending on whereabouts on circuit the drivers are. And just watching Darkseid at the moment, he had a bit of a slow lap last time out. Whether he made a mistake or he's just come out of the pit lane, he did a 1 minute 7 as opposed to his usual 49.2 on his best bet. Traffic is going to be a problem. He's got the 55.8 ahead of him. But like Dave, like you said earlier, you know, Darkseid's best lap is a 49.2 and he's in 3rd. 55.8 is only 1.4 off the 1.4 off Darkseid's pace, 1.5 off the leader in the top 10. So it's a very, very close field. As I say, that 55.8 just goes off and spins at turn 1, so that's removed the problem for Darkseid. And it's good driving from 55.8, just getting right out of the way as a couple of other drivers coming through.
Something else that comes up in the race, the drivers who are sort of 8th, 9th, 10th, not used to battling with people like myself near the front or building up that speed as the season goes on. They sort of have 2 choices in the race. They can fight and battle and try and hold them back, which around this circuit you can, or they can let you go and try and follow you through. So there's always that choice there for the lower down drivers to choose which they want to do. Around here, you may as well fight for your position because it's really difficult to get past.
Exactly, it is, and I'm on board at the moment with Mark Parker. He's one of those drivers who we always see him fighting for those positions inside on the knock-ins of the top 10, and he's a very, very consistent driver. As Mark, he's improved as the season's gone on, and he's had some good showings so far in terms of his results for the season. I think he had a good position at the Nürburgring where he's 9th. I think Laguna Seca he finished 8th as well, as he just crosses the line as time remaining has ticked over. Snav currently in P1. Bertus is on a lap as he comes around the final corner. Didn't quite catch the time he has left remaining. I don't think he's going to go any faster though, and he isn't. Bertus stays second. Dark Slice has ended his lap. DMK, he's got another driver ahead of him as Bigsy now moves into 6th place with a 49.9. Here comes DMK around the final corner. He's not going to improve. Noticed his lap time there. Shadowstalker's ahead of him, who slowed right down. Who else is on a lap? 55.8 still in the beach. 18.05, no, he's not going to improve. So here we are then. Snav taking that first place pole position for this season at Suzuka East. Really good for him. He's going to need to take as much of advantage as he can at the start, because he's not won a race as Snav in the whole events that he's done with the Renault Meganes. Don't forget, he was leading at Fuji last season. He got caught with 3 minutes to go by the outgoing champion of Lobby 2, Carter Boy 99. So Snav will be looking for that first victory. Bertus again, fantastic performance in the Fuchs car. He's lining up on the front row with Snav in second. Dark Sykes on his debut, he's on 3rd place with DMK. Another good qualifying performance from DMK this season. He's starting 4th for the second time this season. He's starting in 4th place. He started at 4th in Laguna. 18.05's 5th with Bigsy in 6th place on his second event. Coleman 7th in the 3M car. Mark Parker's 8th. Shadowstalker's 9th. The 55.8 is 10th, and everyone else will be sorting themselves out. Obviously 18.05 will be dropping back at the start. So here we go then. The race. The Power Products driver of Snav is on the right hand side of the grid as we look at it. Bertus is on the left with the red and blue stripes. Who is going to make the best start in the Meganes for tonight? We've got 20 minutes on the right hand side. Here come the numbers. And the race is live here at Suzuka East. It's a good start from Snav. He's got off the line well. Bertus is slotted in behind him. Dark Sykes is in 3rd. He's got DMK challenging as they head towards turn 1 for the first time. DMK, bit of contact between Dark Sykes. He's on the curve as Dark Sykes. He's gone completely round. Has he? Yes, he has. Bigsy's up into 3rd. Coleman's 4th. Shadowstalker, great start for Shadowstalker. He's up to 5th. He's fending off from Mark Parker. Seamus, fantastic start. Up into 7th place. Danzo's in 8th currently. Timmy 9th. D. Whitehouse, after joining us in commentary, is in 10th place. 55.8 is in 11th. 18.05 12th. Yeah, Dark Sykes has dropped right the way back, and DMK has waited for him by the look of it. Good sportsmanship from DMK, because there was a bit of contact between the two. Better be safe than sorry. We cut to the front though. Snav leads by about 0.4 of a second. Bertus is in 2nd. He's looking for a second podium in the Meganes. Bigsy on his second event. He's in 3rd. He's fending off Coleman, who had another good race here last season. Did Coleman? He was running well early on, and he's up in 4th once again. Shadowstalker, after starting in 10th, is up to 5th. He's having a field day. Is Shadowstalker. Cracking opening lap for him. Mark Parker's in 6th. We've got Seamus in 7th now, fending off his championship rivals. This is the battle for 3rd, don't forget, in the championship between himself, Danzo, and 18.05, who's got a bit of work to do to try and get past the 55.8 in that garage floor tile company car. 55.8, obviously a debutant this season. He's had 2 rounds. This is his 3rd now, as a car goes off in the foreground, and that's Danzo, who's gone off at the final corner. The Tank Tools driver is off. As we cut straight back to the front, Bertus is opening that gap now. He's 8 nearly 9 tenths ahead. Bertus is there. Bigsy's followed by Coleman. Then there's a gap back to Shadowstalker. He's got Mark Parker on the inside of him. Is he going to get through before we get through turn 1? Yes, he's through. No problem at all for Mark Parker. He's up into 5th. Now then, what can Timmy do? Because he's got past Slow Seamus, and D. Whitehouse is up to 9th now. The championship leader just stalking his main championship rival of Timmy. But there's Seamus currently in between the two of them as this mid-pack starts to get quite frenetic. Timmy looking for a move, potentially up the inside. Shadowstalker's gone very, very wide. But Timmy's going to have the inside. Will ride on board with Seamus, who goes for the lunge up the inside of Shadowstalker. Is he through? I think he is, as is Dave. Dave has gone through too. So Shadowstalker goes from 6th to 9th in one corner. Unfortunate for him as 1805 gets dragged out by the gravel. Just about holds on to it, but that's going to allow 55.8 straight through as they go on to lap number 4. 4 laps already in the opening 3 minutes. Fantastic effort from the Japs. Is 1805 trying to look for another move? Don't think he's going to quite get there. Danzo has rejoined this group. DMK's now up to 13th. Darkseid's not sure what's happened to him again. He was ahead of DMK, but now he's almost gapped at the back. Cutting back to the front, Sir Bertus looking for that race win. These 5 drivers currently in the top 5 as it stands have never won a race in the Renault Megane Trophy. They need to get on with it. I think that Snav has gone wide. Yes, he had a little mistake. Surely Bertus is through. Snav trying to defend. He went a little bit aggressive there, obviously, but Bertus is on the inside. We'll ride with Big Z. And Mark Parker's up here to 4th. That's fantastic from the CRT driver. Bertus, though, gets through. He's into 1st place at the first corner. Snav, that little error as he came out the final corner, has dropped him to 2nd. Big Z's 3rd. Mark Parker, having the drive of his life, probably has ever been this high up in a full grid before. He's in 4th, and the Sales Eye driver is really doing well. Seamus not happy with something. He's obviously put a comment in the box there. You can see that he's not pleased. Timmy, though, is in 5th. D. Whitehouse is in 6th. He's got a half a second penalty, which he'll try and clear at some stage. Shadowstalker's in 7th, so something has happened to Seamus that's caused him to go all the way back. Oh, Shadowstalker's gone round. He's going to collect 55.8. I think 1805 has benefited from that, and he has. He's got back in front. It was really unfortunate. It was just an accident. Coleman's all the way down in 10th too. 55.8 trying to scramble his way back up to racing speed, but I think Coleman's going to go past him. Yep, he's through. I don't think Darksykes is close enough. But this is how quickly this race can change. Already, Jay Coleman, who was fighting in the top 4, already down to 9th place now. He'll have to try and build his way back up from that. Not certain what happened to Seamus. He's gone round at the first corner. He's just about held the car. He's in the gravel trap, though. Needs to get back into 1st gear if he can, and away he goes. But really unfortunate for the man who's joint 3rd in the championship at the moment. Bertus now, though, has got the hammer down. He's got 8 tenths to Snav. It's took him 2 laps to open that gap. Big Z is in 3rd place. His brother, Darksykes, has got the fastest lap, so you can tell what the advantage of clear air does for the drivers. Timmy and D. Whitehouse, though, are now in clean air. What can the 2 drivers in the championship do with a bit of space to set some quick laps now? And there you go, there's the proof in the 1st sector. Timmy has gone 700ths quicker at a purple 1st sector. Mark Parker running in 6th, driver of the day so far from the CRT driver there. 1805's in 7th. After his sort of mistake in qualifying, he's somehow come out of it relatively unscathed as 1805. So hopefully he can keep his pace and his performance. Last season when we were at Suzuka, he finished 4th. That's Parker into the grass. He's only lost a place, but he's reunited with his best friend in fighting for the top 10 of Shadowstalker. 55.8's in 9th. There's a big scrap going on. That's Coleman off into the gravel trap. Darksykes has got past him. Is DMK going to have the momentum to go past him? I'm fairly certain he will. Coleman trying to block him off, but it's not going to happen. And straight through goes DMK. So DMK up to 12th now. And Coleman, after being in 4th, what might have been for the 3M driver at the moment. D. Whitehouse is still there and thereabouts. Timmy has closed that gap to Big Z. The gap is now 1.5 seconds. It was 2.2 the lap before. Bit of a cut from Timmy there. Whether the GT Sport track limits will keep up with it, but the Works driver is still in 4th. Under pressure now from the fastest man on circuit. As I say that, a little bit of an error from Dave as he came out of the final corner there. The amateur driver can't be having too many of those, otherwise you could see the momentum he's lost to Timmy. The gap's gone from 3/10 to just under 2 seconds. And Snav's back into the lead. Just caught the end of it. The Power Products driver is into the lead. Snav has got back in front. This is the big scrap for that first ever race win. I'm not certain what happened to Bertus. He must have made a little error somewhere, but the Fuchs driver's been relegated to second. And yeah, you could see on the delta there, he's lost 2.9 seconds on his best lap, so he's made a little mistake. And this is what is going to sort this race out with 12 minutes 30 to go on the clock. Big Z, the Zerkotech driver, at the moment, great performance from the brother of the two Sykes there, the number 32. Big Z's driving away at the moment. Good showing from him, been nice and consistent, as you can see on his lap times there. He's just been sat in the 50s and the odd 49 every now and then, but he has to defend now from Timmy, the championship contender. D Whitehouse is closing the gap. It's now down to 1.3, but there's still work to be done for the Hampshire driver if he wants to get ahead of Timmy. 18.05, still in 6th place at the moment. Got a bit of a gap. He's setting 49s at the moment, but he's going to need a little bit of help from drivers in front for battling if he wants to close that gap. Mark Parker's in 7th, Shadow Stalker running in 8th. He's got 4 seconds to the 55.8, who's now fending off Danzo. So this train has gone from being 3 cars to now 4. The Garage Floor Tile Company driver has to try and fend off Danzo if he can as he go round the final corner. It looks like Danzo's got the pace at the moment to go with the 55.8. Dark Sykes just in 11th, just watching out. He's going to be frustrated, is Dark Sykes, after that opening corner incident. DMK did wait for him by the seams of it, but it's sort of relegated their races now to fighting for the lower positions in the top 10. Coleman's in 13th, and Seamus, after his spin at turn 1, is all the way down in stone dead last. His best lap 6/10 off D Whitehouse. We'll cut right the way forward because Timmy is up to 3rd. He's got past Bigsy, and now the race for the victory is on. As Bertus, I think, has just got past Snav again. These two absolutely fighting tooth and nail for this race victory. They both desperately want it. Bertus on the inside for turn 1. I think he's just about got the momentum. Snav trying to look for a little way through, but that's that on that front. And Bertus retakes the lead for the second time in this race. Snav will have to regroup, recalibrate, and go on the attack again. Still half of the race to go, and there's been so much action in these opening 12 laps. D Whitehouse has fought his way past as well now. He's up into 4th place. Got a bit of a gap to try and make up to Timmy. 18.05's up into 5th. I'm not certain what's happened to Bigsy, but he's dropped down to 8th place. Behind Shadow Stalker, behind Mark Parker. I said these two have been consistent throughout the year, and look at the lap times Parker's been doing. He's been in the 50s pretty much most of the way. The odd lap here and there when he went off earlier. Just keep this up and he could be looking at a best ever result. Shadow Stalker as well, still driving well in the 99 Geissid car there. Big Z in 8th, and then the big train. It's now 3 cars rather, because oh, there's contact. I didn't see what happened to Big Z. He must have dropped it. He didn't phase until the last moment, and the 55.8 has just lost the train. And Big Z, I'm assuming he would have ghosted but didn't, and that has put the brother to the back of the grid. Really unfortunate. Seamus benefits from that. The 55.8 doesn't, obviously. He's down to 12th. Coleman's gone forward as a result. You can see the damage on the front of that 3M car at the moment. DMK's in 10th now. Danzo's up to 9th. For Dark Sykes, after all the dramas of the opening lap, is back up to 8th. And he's not too far away from Shadow Stalker, so work to do for the Sykes Designs driver there. Timmy now closing the gap. He's now got it down to 1.1, which is exactly the gap that he had when he crossed the line compared to his main championship rival Dave just behind him. These two looking to probably gain some time. Snav's lost a lot of time on this lap. Snav now 1.1 off the back of Bertus. The Dutch driver will be thinking he's got a chance of a race win now. He's certainly going to be taking every opportunity he can to try and push that gap out. Absolutely push the limit. He's got a 9/10 penalty he's going to have to try and deal with somewhere. Timmy just getting in the mirrors of Snav there, just weaving about in the straight line. He's not close enough for a move just yet. You can see the gap as they head towards first corner, which is literally what it's called. On the brakes, Down into 4th gear for Timmy. Will he chuck it to 3rd, which he has done? So these 3 now starting to Constantina up. Snav setting a personal best first sector there. Snav probably capitalising there on a little mistake maybe from Bertus. The gap fluctuating between a 2nd and 9/10. Timmy, though, can sense, he could smell that first victory for him since a few rounds back when we went to Dragon Trail. That was 3 weeks ago, was Dragon Trail. So Timmy will be wanting another victory to put under his rear wing in the Megane there. There's D Whitehouse. I think for 1805, unless there's an accident or something ahead of him, this is as good as it's going to get. And considering he started in the backpack, he had to drop back. 5th place is not bad at all. Oh, Mark Parker's run wide. He's in 6th, but surely Darksakes is going to have a run on him as he comes towards turn 1. The gap's closing. Is he going to move to the inside, the 666 driver? Yes, he does. He's on the inside, and he should be there. He is there. He's in the 6th place now, is Darksakes. Got past Mark Parker. Nice clean move. Oh, Shadowstalker's gone flying off at turn 1. That's dropped him to 9th to 10th. Maybe 11th. Coleman trying to look for a move around the outside. That would have been brave. We'll stay on board. He's there for the next corner through the S's, and through he goes. The freehand driver up to 10th now. Coleman fighting his way back after an earlier incident. 55.8's got Seamus now scrambling on the back of his rear wing. We'll cut back forward because Timmy is up to 2nd. Snav is down in 4th. We haven't seen what's happened to Snav. I suspect, judging by that lap time, he's gone off at the final corner. There's 6 minutes 16 to go. That's all that separates Bertus from a first race win in the Meganes. He's got almost 2 seconds to Timmy, who has now got the pressure from the championship leader D Whitehouse behind him. What Bertus will be praying for right now is for these two to start fighting. He absolutely needs that, because judging on lap time so far, Bertus just a touch slower every lap than Timmy at the moment. The gap 1.6 now. When I first jumped back to these, it was 1.9. Snav, not sure what happened to him, but sadly he's down to 4th, and potentially that race win, unless a scrap happens towards the end, is going to stay in 4th. Darkside still in 6th, Parker 7th, Danzo is in 8th, DMK 9th, Coleman 10th. Bit of a gap's opening up now. Seamus is in 13th at the moment. This is the closest battle outside of the top 3, so we'll cut back to those drivers, and you can see the gap slowly but surely knocking its way down to 1.4. D Whitehouse getting the tail out through Dunlop corner there. I say Dunlop, it's more half Dunlop, because Dunlop usually goes the other way on the main circuit. You just see Timmy just hugging the inside as he came out of the corner. Whether he went wide or not, we're not certain. As we go into these last 5 minutes, Bertus held his own on that lap, did Bertus. Managed to get rid of a 10th of his penalty, but he's going to have to try and work at that in these last 4 and a bit minutes. He's going to have to lose time to Timmy to lose time in terms of his overall finishing time at the end of this race. He can't afford to take 0.8 of a second to the flag. He has to try and clear it somewhere. And the gap now down to 1.1. D Whitehouse still 0.6 off the back of Timmy, restricting the amount of points that Timmy's going to take away from him at the moment, but that's not to say they won't close up before the end. Snav still 4th. Darksakes is up to 5th, so 18.05. I've mentioned it earlier, unless he made a mistake, he was solid for 5th, but that's not the case now. So Darksakes up to 5th place, 18.05, down to 6th. Mark Parker still in 7th. This is a fantastic showing. Oh, he's just run a little bit wide, but he just keeps it on circuit. This is a phenomenal effort from Mark Parker at the minute. You know, a fan favourite from CRT he is, and he's going to really want to keep hold of that 7th place with 3 minutes 30 odd to go. Timmy now setting a personal best sector. He's got the bit between his teeth. Bertus still got that. Oh, he's got 1.3 seconds worth of penalties now, so the heat is really on the Fuchs driver. I think D Whitehouse has lost a little bit of time on that last lap, and he has indeed. Gap now 0.4 of a second. It could be a situation where Bertus wins on the track, but not in the race room at the end. You can see the car ghosting as he tries to sort of clear the penalty, but it's not going to be enough. Only a few laps to go now in this race. 2:58 on the clock on the right hand side. What can he do? Can he clear it before the end? Can he still hold on to a race win? Danzo has still got DMK shadowing him at the moment. Parker's still in 7th at the moment. And the 55.8 is still fending off Slow Seamus at the moment, who's been stuck behind him for virtually most of the race. You see DMK is quite close, but it doesn't look like there's going to be an opportunity presented to him at the moment. Although Danzo ran a little bit deep through the S's there. Ran a little bit wide again. We'll just stay with DMK. He's a lot closer than he was before as he rounds the final corner. Any opportunity for DMK? Doesn't look like it at the moment. Mark Parker still in 7th. We'll cut back because Bertus now is feeling the heat from Timmy. The gap 3/10. You can see it on screen. D Whitehouse back in the game now. He's looking for another position. If Bertus takes that 1.3 second penalty to the flag, it'll mean Timmy will not just win the race, but D Whitehouse will take 2nd place in the results as well. So I'm not certain what Bertus is going to do, but he's got 2 laps to try and clear it. The only opportunity he may have is if he can beat the checkered flag and get another lap compared to Tim. Oh, he's run a little bit wide coming out of turn 2. Opportunity presents itself, but Bertus just enough ahead as they come through the S's into the switchback. You can see the works driver just trying to get as close as he can to Bertus. He wants a good run. Bertus a little bit slower, just getting the line right. He's run wide out the final corner, but takes a lot sort of later entrance. He got the power down early, but this is the opportunity that Timmy was looking for. So 52 seconds to go. If I was Bertus in his position, I would try and slow them down massively. But hey, Timmy's on the outside now as he approaches turn 1. Oh, Timmy's gone onto the gravel a little bit. He's gone wide. What about Dave? Is he anywhere near close enough? No, not quite. That was a huge moment for the works driver. He's got D Whitehouse now pressuring him all over the circuit. These 3 should make it onto the final lap, and they will be the only 3 that get onto lap 25. Timmy, I'm not sure how he held it, but that was absolutely fantastic car control. Bertus, he's got 1.2. He's going to have to try and think of something creative as he cuts the final part of Dunlop. Goes round that corner. Has it added to his penalties? No, it hasn't. He's got lucky on that one. As he comes towards the line, as he goes across it now, he's on the final lap, as are Timmy and Dave. This is it then for the final lap. Timmy won't know that he's got a penalty as Bertus. Snav has seen the checkered flag. Well done to Snav. He's got 4th. Tries to go around the outside. That's not going to work. He's made contact. That's the opportunity D Whitehouse wanted, and he's got 2nd. D Whitehouse is in 2nd place. Dark Sykes has finished 5th position. Great result for him after going flying off at turn 1. Parker's up to 6th as he got past Danzo. I'm not sure what's happened at the line. Unbelievable. Danzo's got 6th from nothing. DMK 7th. Parker 8th. Coleman 9th. 1805 10th. Seamus 11th. Shadowstalker 12th. And everyone else. Timmy's gone backwards. D Whitehouse looking for every opportunity he can to get this race win, but Sir Bertus will cross the line in 1st place, but his penalty means D Whitehouse is your race winner here at Suzuka. Timmy takes 2nd and Bertus takes 3rd. What a race. At the end it all kicked off, but D Whitehouse, the championship leader from 14th on the grid, takes the checkered flag. Wow, what a race that was. Absolutely brilliant. 2nd to Timmy despite his 2 offs almost on the final lap. 3rd to Bertus, who was so unfortunate with his penalties. He just couldn't clear them. But it's a podium, a 2nd ever podium for him. 4th place went the way of Snav. We're not certain what happened. I think he made a mistake at the final corner. Dark Sykes from the back of the grid after his lap 1 accident to 5th. He'll be chuffed at that. Mark Parker 7th. Fantastic for him. That was absolutely wonderful result. His best ever finish in the Renault Megane Trophy, sponsored by Power Max Racing. He's going to be really chuffed. I believe we've got Dave with us now. Dave, how are you feeling after that?
Wow. Yeah, I knew Timmy was going to have a go, but I had a penalty of 3 tenths, which would have given me a second penalty.
Yeah.
Coming through the final corner, so I had to slam on the brakes on the line, get rid of that penalty, not knowing if Timmy was the second behind me. So
Timmy just went wide coming out the final corner, so he was about 7 tenths behind as it happened, so it would have been really on the limit, but another victory.
Yeah, it just had to sort of take it easy through that one. Follow Timmy when he made the moves. That's why Snav went off at the final corner, because Timmy was trying to make a move. No contact, but just ran out wide. And going back on slow, Seamus, he just got caught up in an instant on the final corner as well, because you just can't see any cars off the track at that time. But yeah, coming through from 14th was not what I expected on this circuit.
No, exactly. Especially, last season, you alluded to it before. I mean, you finished 6th last season. You've banished those demons, to say the least, and
it certainly has banished.
I mean, looking at it now, you've got a 16-point lead going into the final 4 races this season. I'm not going to say, do you think you've won the championship, because far from it. There's a lot of drivers who could still take points away, and anything can happen in these final 4 rounds, but you must be feeling a little bit confident.
It's useful to know I can pretty much follow him home for a couple of races and not have to worry too much. I mean, in that race I was certainly happy to come home with third, just behind Timmy, and I thought he'd have a go, but if he hadn't made that move, he would have won the race.
He probably would have done, and I think the key of this is that you obviously don't know if the drivers. I mean, did it come up on the while you were riding on board that Bertus had a penalty?
Yes,
it did, right?
You see, he got a penalty, so there wasn't any need to sort of take a dive if needed. But it is Timmy's first year, so he's soon learning through that.
Certainly, and I think to that as well is that drivers won't want to sit behind and settle for second to take the race win. Exactly. Most of them, they'll want to go for that, and I completely understood why Timmy went for it. But across the field, what a fantastic race that was. Well done to you, Dave. Fantastic result for yourself, and we will be back for the Renault Megane Trophy with NXTGEN, sponsored by Power Max Racing, for round 7 at Autopolis International. Provided some wonderful action last season. Carter Boy won that race, of course, and it provided a few podiums for Zlatan and Snav. Snav will be hoping to get back on the podium. Dave, you finished 4th that time last season, after a few hairy moments, let's say, would be the right case.
It's not the most enjoyable track for me. I've had a few goes around there and not sort of found the rhythm, so hopefully I will this time.
Exactly. But thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in tonight, of course. We will be back same time next week at 8 o'clock BST, British Standard Time. And that's it. I will upload the video, of course, straight onto YouTube. I will share the links out. Please come and have a look at NXTGEN Racing as well on Facebook. We're all over social media, of course. Twitter, Instagram, we're all on those social areas too. But thanks very much for watching on that sense. And wherever you might be in the big wide world, I'll see you very, very soon.